breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors on a Reaction Monday, April 28th edition of the show. We are reacting to the NFL Draft. It took until the third round, but Savon Rebel was finally picked. We will discuss that and a whole lot more when Joe Sampson joins us the second half of the show. Also, a handful of Pirates getting NFL opportunities following the draft as well. We will get into that. ECU baseball loses 2 out of 3 to Tulane. Another tough weekend for the Pirates. And I'm sure we've got plenty of comments on that as well. We will hear from head coach Cliff Godwin in our next segment. We caught up with him earlier this morning. So we'll get coach's thoughts on the weekend that was as the Pirates dropped 2 out of 3 to the Tulane Green Wave. We are live on YouTube, we are live on Facebook, and we are live on X. If you got a question, comment on any of those platforms, drop them there now, and we will react to them as we can. Now, I just want to preface this at the top of the show. I know a lot else. We got the spring game going on this past weekend. It was just a busy weekend all around. Obviously, baseball, lacrosse almost won a championship. We can get into that at some point as well. Also, Mike Schwartz's contract extension, ECU basketball recruiting continues to roll with some commitments. So, we got a lot to discuss. We're not going to be able to discuss it all today. My goal is to do this. Talk baseball today. Talk with Cliff Godwin. Get Joe on to really dive into the NFL draft. And then tomorrow we will dive into the decision for the Mike Schwartz extension, basketball recruiting, and spring game. So I know if you guys have plenty of questions on the other topics, then I would suggest to save those for Tuesday's show when we can go further into that. We can try to address it today, but that'll be our topic on our agenda tomorrow. Philip Pilkington is producing today's show. He was at the spring game. He was at ECU baseball. He saw his Boston Celtics win last night to take a 3-1 series advantage over the Orlando Magic. Philip, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited. Normally Mondays kind of stink, but there's just so much going on right now, so much to talk about. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good as well. Yeah, it's, when spring ends, it does kind of slow down, although I should say if spring football ends. With the baseball season going on, there's still things to go there. You got playoffs. You got recruiting to follow. We can get more into that with basketball, but also football recruiting is about to pick up because they're going to try to add some additions via the portal there. So there's still never a dull moment, man. I wish I could share, too, everything that I hear behind the scenes, because that would make for a much more interesting show. But, we gotta stay on topic. I've heard some interesting stuff this weekend behind the scenes. I'll just leave it at that. But, hey, if you want to hear some of it, this is a cheap plug, hoistthecolors.net. You can get your first month for $1 now. VIP chat is off and rolling, and it's a juicy one today, Philip. I don't know if you've had a chance to check it out yet. Plenty to talk about.
I have not. I've had to, we had that interview with Cliff earlier. Had to get some other prep done around the station. But when we rerun that Cliff interview, I will pull it up because I know there was already some juicy stuff being said when we were together Saturday during the spring game about certain events. And I think it's probably just that on steroids right now.
It always is. It always is. But that's what makes it fun. All right, so ECU baseball loses 2 out of 3 to Tulane, and really just kind of a microcosm of the season thus far, Philip. Really for both teams. Tulane, I was talking with Corey Glore, has been extremely up and down. They've run-ruled teams. They get run-ruled. I was talking to Corey Glore after Friday's game. He's like, no telling what shows up tomorrow. And sure enough, ECU, after losing 20-5 on Friday, won 15-5 on Saturday. And then Sunday rolls around and much more competitive game. And ECU makes some big mistakes. The mistakes they made on the mound were hit on the ballpark. They made some crucial mistakes on the base pass, aggressive mistakes, as Cliff Godwin will put it in our interview. But this team just doesn't have the margin for error, Philip, of you can't have your best pitchers struggle and expect to win a weekend series, and you can't give away outs. And when you do that, you're probably going to lose 2 out of 3, as ECU did this weekend.
Yeah, the pitching kind of was the story of the weekend, right? You just didn't get the best out of your best guys. But I kind of want to focus on what you mentioned there about Sunday's game. It really didn't feel like East Carolina got outscored 7-2. It was not like they were blown out in yesterday's game. It's just like you said, you make a couple mistakes on the mound. Both of those mistakes found the trees, and then you have the 2 outs at the plate. If a few of those things go your way, we're talking about losing a 1-run baseball game. So I'm not sitting here saying the Pirates should have won, trying to make excuses. But when you talk about losing 7-2, it's like, ooh, you got beat 7-2. It really didn't feel like that, at least for me yesterday. I don't know how you felt.
Yeah, I mean, and I was not there in person, but I agree. It felt like, and too, ECU had those opportunities early. I honestly thought they did a really good job against the Tulane closer, Michael Lombardi, who Tulane threw, hoping to get a big lead early. They were not able to, and ECU had some chances to really take the lead early, left some guys on base, missed a crucial opportunity, had the base running errors, and then I just think late in the game, for whatever reason, the pressure started to build on ECU, and then Tulane got a big swing off, kind of widened the lead, and they were able to just throw strikes. So one thing Tulane does, they don't walk a lot of people. They do give up some big innings at times, but they did a good job of minimizing that outside of Saturday. Some comments here on baseball. Cameron says, thought the team had turned a corner Saturday. I was wrong to think anything has changed with this team. Let's face it, the season is over for this team. Needs to rest key arms with the AAC tourney. He says the focus should shift to which guys can we keep here for next season. And Lane Smith says, really a shame Riley Johnson couldn't be healthy this year. I feel like things maybe would have been a bit better with him. Also a shame we haven't seen that version of Dixon all year on Saturday. I've never seen a game that bad on Friday, Lane adds. And he says this team is not clutch at all. So, look, a lot of frustrated people. Nobody's more frustrated than the players and the coaches. We'll hear from Cliff here shortly, who I honestly thought was good today. He's keeping an even keel, but it's just a frustrating year, man. It's just one of those seasons, Philip. It kind of is what it is at this point. They're not a bad baseball team. They're not really a good baseball team by ECU standards either, and we're just kind of riding this thing out now, unfortunate to say.
We are going through a season that most teams in the country have every year, where it feels like you can't get it together on a consistent basis, but you know the talent's there. It's just a matter of putting it all together, and this is how most teams feel. The difference is we're not used to feeling this way. We don't know how to react. It's like it'd be like putting a kid with a silver spoon born up his rear end in just a middle-class situation. That's really what it is, because let's be honest, we're spoiled rotten when it comes to college baseball.
No doubt. And look, there's still the conference tournament, and things can, who knows, maybe they can get hot at the right time down the stretch. We'll see. Let's hear from Cliff Godwin on the other side. We'll get a break in. We'll continue to touch on baseball with the head coach himself. He will join us next. This is Hoist the Colors on a Reaction Monday.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed, meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Are you ready to tackle those yard and garden projects? Come by East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, your local Coyote dealer, and check out their great selection of residential and commercial Coyote tractors. From zero-turn mowers to compact tractors to skid steer loaders, they've got you covered. Some with 0% financing for qualified buyers. Stop by your hometown Coyote dealer, East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, across from the Pitt County Fairgrounds, or online at ectfleet.com. East Carolina Tractor and Fleet. We dig dirt.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo. How good is this? On 94.3 The Game.
We are live with head coach Cliff Godwin on a Monday following the team's series loss to the Tulane Green Wave. Pirates lose on Friday, come back Saturday with a run rule victory of their own. Then Tulane takes the rubber game 7-2. Patrick Johnson alongside Stephen Igo here and Coach Cliff Godwin. Coach, 1-2 weekend, I know up and down. Just kind of your overall assessment before we get into the specifics.
I mean, we just are not consistently playing good in all 3 phases, and that's something that, we've harped on a whole lot, and it's something that we got to continue to work on. At times we've pitched really good this year. At times we haven't. At times we've had great offensive performances. At times we haven't. And the same thing with the defensive side of the ball. So we just got to continue to put those 3 phases together, and once we do that, we'll play more consistent baseball. I mean, we have to do that. I mean, and we need to be playing our best baseball in May, and that's our goal.
And, Coach, you hit on it post-game, but obviously, the lack of innings from the starting pitching this weekend. And, 2 guys who have been so great for you guys, Brad Pruitt, Ethan Young, just so happened that they were both off on the same weekend, and that kind of puts you guys in a bind. So just how tough does it make it when those 2 guys don't give you the length you expect?
Well, I mean, it's hard. It's the same thing that kind of happened the weekend before at UAB. I mean, Norby didn't give us length on Thursday, and so Ethan has to take the brunt of it out of the bullpen. And, then on Friday, the game 2, we're able to, extend Jake a little bit. I think he went a couple innings, maybe 2 1/3, but then you don't have either one of those guys available. And Pruitt started, of course, that weekend. So now your bullpen is just thinner. And, I keep going to this, but you just can't overcome that when you have 2 guys that are injured that were planning on being in your weekend rotation. I mean, they haven't thrown a pitch this year in Ryan Towers and in Tolik. So you're thinner already. And then when you don't get any length out of your game 1 starter, it just makes it really hard to navigate a weekend.
And we did see Ethan Norby go back to the bullpen coach, and obviously got 1 out on Friday in the first, and then was phenomenal on Saturday, and just looked like Ethan Norby. So just how good was it to see that, and then what went into that decision to move him back to the bullpen?
Well, sometimes when you're going through, kind of a funk, and everybody deals with it at some point in time, if you've been playing baseball long enough, whether it be a hitter or a pitcher, you kind of got to go back to your roots. And, AK and I talked to Ethan, and, his home where he started was in the bullpen. I mean, he was so good for us last year out of the bullpen, and of course he could start, and we just wanted to get him back in there to kind of free his mind up a little bit and get back to his competitive juices. And man, you could see once he got rolling on Saturday, it was special. And he actually texted AK, "Hey, leave me in the bullpen." So obviously it worked out. And we've just got to, go into each game right now with the way our pitching is, and just focus on trying to win that one game. And then when we get through with that game, focus on winning the next game, and just kind of piecing it together. Whatever that looks like, it might look unorthodox, but if we can continue to do that, we'll be okay at the end.
Coach Cliff Godwin joining Stephen Igo and myself here as Coach Godwin of the Pirates will be taking on Elon tomorrow, and then a trip to Wichita State for the weekend series there. Jackson DiLorenzo pitched for you twice, closed out the game yesterday, and he was slated to start, I believe, for the NC State game that ended up being canceled due to the weather. So where does D'Lo factor in some of this, Coach?
Well, D'Lo has. Sorry, my phone fell down there. But D'Lo has done a good job at times, and at times he's had too many freebies. So he pitched well this weekend. I mean, one bad pitch, didn't execute a pitch on the first outing he had, and that's really been the message to the entire pitching staff. I told them to flip on the TV, but if we call extended fastball away in a 2-strike count and we throw it down the middle and the wind's gailing out like it was at UAB or like it was at our place on Friday or Saturday, they're going to hit it a long ways. I mean, that's just the nature of the game right now. If you flip on the TV, if you call an extended slider in the dirt and you throw it down the middle with 2 strikes, they're going to do damage with it, as Dixon Williams did on Saturday. I showed the video or talked to the team about it in yesterday's meeting. I said, Dixon swung at a 2-0 slider that was on his back foot, and then the next pitch was a slider up and in that he hit out for a 3-run homer. So obviously the pitcher wasn't trying to throw it there, but when it does go in that spot, guys are going to hammer it. So tomorrow we're going to start Zayak on the mound, and it's going to be a bullpen day, so a lot of guys will get out there for sure.
Coach, with Dixon, just a huge offensive output for him yesterday. After those 3 home runs over 2 games, he follows it up by being a homer short of the cycle. So Dixon right now has really turned it on, and in order to peak in May, having that kind of offense from him obviously will go a long way in helping with that.
Yeah, Dixon has been the focal point of every pitching staff that has rolled into play us, and I've had several talks with him. I can remember vividly after the Saturday game against Memphis, which was early. I said, hey, if you're looking for these guys to pitch you easier, it doesn't matter where you're hitting. If you're hitting 1, 2, 5, 7, or 9, they know who you are. You're the guy that was on the team last year that had a good offensive season, so they know that you're back, you're a returner, and they're not going to let you beat them. And I said, the sooner that you can mentally wrap your mind around that, the easier it will be. Not that it will be easy. But he's been, putting pressure on himself like a lot of our guys have to just try to right the ship. But this weekend, he really just focused on being on time and being aggressive with the pitch he was looking for in the zone he was looking for. And Dixon's a great player. He's one of the best players in the country. And when he does that, then good things happen.
And then Herring gives you a big weekend as well. So that was good to see from him.
Yeah, Jack he's done a tremendous job. It's actually been I say a pleasant surprise. I mean, a guy that was, kind of in and out of the lineup early on. And he came to me and was like, hey, Coach, I want to find a way to get in there more consistently. And it really goes back to the Charlotte game when, he hadn't had a lot of bats right-handed, and they brought a lefty in to face him to flip him around. Mm-hmm. And the lefty actually had reverse splits, which means lefties hit him better than righties do. And I just looked at Jack and I said, hey, man, can you hit this guy? And he goes, Coach, I got it. And it was with the bases loaded, and he hit a double in the right center field gap. And ever since then, he's just really taken the opportunity that he's been given and just ran with it. And he's putting together a lot of quality at-bats for us, and it's great to see because he works hard.
Great to see Riley Johnson back out there for all 3 games of the series, getting to start. Had some catches yesterday that were reminiscent of the just add them to the highlight reel. I mean, the catches are pretty spectacular, but he makes them look routine. So having Riley back for everything he does defensively, but also the spark of the tough at bats he puts together is another thing that will, I think, greatly aid this team down the stretch.
For sure. Friday it was probably a blessing in disguise that, we only had to play him 4 or 5 innings, had 2 at bats just to get him out there. Because it is different when you're out there on your feet for 9 innings, 3 hours, going through the pregame stuff. And then Saturday he played great. Yesterday, I think he felt the effects of playing for 2 days in a row. And that's something we got to manage. We need him to be as fresh as possible and to stay healthy so that we can have him for the stretch run.
Yeah, Coach, I was going to ask just when he's in the lineup, you can just kind of see the energy the rest of the guys get, and too, it just lengthens the lineup so much. And I feel like we saw that Saturday, and what will that balance like be down the stretch? Because you want to win every game, you obviously want to have him in the lineup every day, but you got to, I guess, find that balance like you were talking about.
Yeah, hopefully once his body continues to condition to play in baseball, just being out there on his feet, that he will recover better. I think this weekend was hard for him just from the standpoint that, you go from, yeah, we scrimmaged a little bit on Wednesday, but it was really like 2 innings. So you got 2 innings there, and he's been on his feet at practice. But going out and just playing at the intensity of playing a different opponent for 4 or 5 innings and 9 innings and then 9 innings, it's, obviously when you have not been able to go out there for months, it's fatiguing on your body, and especially in the areas that we're concerned about in that hip and just the ab region. So he was sore yesterday, like not a bad soreness, but you could tell he just wasn't 100%, which Riley Johnson at 85 or 90% is better than, not having him out there at all for sure. So we just want to continue to monitor him, and he's got to be honest with us and how he feels so we can keep him fresh.
Coach, I did want to ask too. Yesterday, Patrick mentioned the great weekend Dixon Williams had at the plate. He was on base a couple times, got thrown out on two different plays at home plate, and one of those, their guy made a phenomenal play on the foul territory catch and throw home. Just your take on those plays. Obviously, those were big momentum swings in that game on Sunday.
Yeah, the first one, he was supposed to be going on down angle, which down angle would one out. It doesn't matter where the infielders are; it's down angle. I mean, you're putting the pressure on the defense, and he didn't go on down angle, and the guy kind of looked him back, and he threw the first, and then Dixon made the decision to just take off and try to make something happen, which was an aggressive mistake. But in reality, you would have wanted the shortstop to throw the ball to home, Dixon get in the rundown, and let Walker get to second base, and so then he's in scoring position. That's the way that we, coach the play. The other one was, it's you're trying to make something happen, and a much, I would say, better educated decision for sure. And we're, I think, down 5 maybe at the time, but we're just trying to get a spark, and the guy made a great play and threw us out at home plate. So it looks probably worse on video than it actually is, but definitely some coaching points there in that first play that we'll talk about tomorrow when we get the team together.
Coach, any injury update? Again, we do this every week because you guys are incredibly banged up. And I know you don't want to make excuses, but, I know Towers has been at least trying to make it back. And then also, what's the latest on Braxton and Drew Downs as well?
Drew Downs is fine. He is he's healthy. He's ready to go. Brett and Tolik is, getting reevaluated this week. So hopefully we'll have some more clarity on just what's going on with his hip and stuff. So we've been trying to get him 100%. I mean, he's been throwing, he's been off the mound at times, and then he's having to be shut down just because that hip is still barking at him. Ryan Towers has increased his workload throwing wise, and hopefully we can get him back in a couple weeks, and that would be, of course, a boost in our arm for sure. And then Braxton, it's more than not day to day. I mean, he actually had part of his shoulder is called an avulsion fracture in his non-throwing shoulder when he ran into Boucher, so it just kind of pulled a piece of that shoulder bone off, and he's got to let that heal. I guess there's an outside shot, depending on how long we play in the postseason, the conference tournament, for him to come back for sure. But he's just working on range of motion right now and taking it very lightly. So, doesn't look very promising for him to come back, but the door is not totally shut yet.
Cliff, some other good news this week occurred with the Board of Trustees approving the baseball expansion project. So it looks like that'll be completed by the end of 2026. That's the timeline now. I guess the groundbreaking officially will take place in August. So it's going to be a little messy for the next year, what have you, around there. You guys will work around it. They'll work around you. But ultimately, this will be another step in the evolution of this program.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, it's going to be awesome for our players. The amenities that they'll have will be just a lot nicer. I mean, the locker room will be a lot nicer. The athletic training room will be a lot nicer. The team meeting room, a place for us to be able to eat as a team instead of having to flip a room that we watch videos in and then have a team room as well to eat. So all that professional locker room for the guys like Burley and Gav and all those guys to be able to have a place to come back and have their laundry done by our managers and all that good stuff and just work out at our facility. And then really the big thing for the fans, just another premium area and just added to the environment that was awesome this weekend with our fans. So a lot of awesome things. Yeah, it's going to take a year for it to get done, but it's going to be awesome when it gets done. So we're super excited about it.
Cliff, always great to talk to you. Thanks for the time, and we'll look forward to catching up with you next week. Best of luck against Elon, and then best of luck against Wichita State, but the trip to Wichita State, best of luck with that, because that's never easy to head out to Kansas.
Yeah.
It's always an adventure. All right.
I appreciate
Thank you,
it. Thank you, guys.
There is our chat with head coach Cliff Godwin. Appreciate his time, as always, on these Mondays. We will take a break. We'll be right back. We'll be joined by Joe Sampson. We'll dive more into the NFL draft. Savone Revel heading to the Dallas Cowboys. We'll talk about that fit. Also, a handful of other Pirates getting NFL opportunities as well. So, NFL draft recap on the way. This is Hoist the Colors on a Reaction Monday.
Hey, it's Jim Wells again with Wells Roofing and Gutters here in the beautiful community of Lindale, Bedford. At Wells Roofing and Gutters, we believe in quality first. And that's why we use CertainTeed shingles, which are manufactured in Oxford, North Carolina, a local company. In the event you ever do have a claim or a problem with your roof system, they're local and they come and take care of us in a timely manner. We could leave off some accessories and we could certainly save money, but we believe at Wells Roofing and Gutters in installing the correct way per manufacturer requirements, and we warranty your roof both in-house and also with our supplier, who is CertainTeed. For a job Wells done, no shortcuts taken, and a good quality job on your home, give us a call today, 252-227-8403. We also offer financing, 12 months, no interest, no payments.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo. Drink up me, Aussie Joe Ho. On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Monday. Reaction Monday. Pirates lose 2 out of 3 to Tulane. We just talked with the head coach, Cliff Godwin. We're joined now by Joseph Sampson, former ECU football player. Joey Football, as we call him. Philip Pilkington back producing in the 94.3 The Game studios. Joe, how's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. It's good to be on. I'm really happy that ECU's offense could score a couple touchdowns to run rule Tulane on Saturday. Don't know what happened on Sunday, but here we are.
Yeah, they finished a couple touchdowns short on Friday. I do want to get into the NFL draft, but I did have a couple baseball comments I wanted to read, guys, before we fully transition there. So Johnny Robertson says, I thought the atmosphere on Saturday and Sunday was loud and lively. And he says, strangely, the Pirates have a better winning percentage on the road than at home. Again, ECU will be at Elon and at Wichita this weekend. Lane Smith says things need to change from the top to bottom. The head coach needs to take a long look. I could see this team having a losing record. Look, I mean, there's some tough series ahead. And a question that I want to get y'all's take on before we fully go to NFL draft. Lane says, what is our realistic expectation for the conference tournament? Again, I think this is a question we can't really answer until we know how this team looks going into the tournament. But, like, if I had to answer it today, I would say my expectation is they go 1-2 based on how they're playing and based on how the pitching is. Now, a lot depends on matchups, trends, all that at the time. But, Philip, we'll start with you. Like, expectation for the tournament today. I'm not going to say they can't win the championship, but I wouldn't count on it right now.
I definitely would not. The tough thing is going to be how fresh are your arms going into it? You know, how, like you said, how healthy is Riley Johnson? It's just, there's so many factors. So instead of dancing around the question, I'll just answer it. Expectation, yeah, right now I say they fall just short of the championship game. I think they go out there, they'll probably win one game in dominating fashion. Maybe they will themselves to another close win and probably end up like 1-2, like you said, or 2-2 maybe. But I don't even see them making the championship game at this rate.
Joey Football, what do you say from Joey Baseball?
Yeah, I still see them making the championship game. I just don't see them getting it done. I think they have enough arms in that kind of short rotation set. You're going to wind up probably throwing Norby game one, if I had to guess, just with how things will work out. That means Norby will probably slotted to throw game 4 if you win 2, and then you go into the winner's bracket. But if you lose, that's where it's going to get kind of dicey. But I see them putting themselves in a good position. They'll fall into that loser's bracket late, and then they'll win the game to get back into the championship. But I think they'll run out of gas there. But also, it's baseball. We have absolutely no idea. The 2019 Nationals sucked, and they went on to win a World Series. And I'm not comparing the two by any means, but it's just about the team that gets hot at the right time. Coastal Carolina, multiple years ago when they went on their run for the College World Series. Dallas Baptist. I mean, the list goes on and on when it comes to teams that just get hot at the right time, right before end of May, early June, and find a way to will themselves into Omaha.
This team has enough arms to win the conference championship, but they can't do it from the losers bracket. They just they have such little margin for error, especially early. Now, if they get into the championship Saturday and lose a game, then at that point nobody's going to have any arms left, or I should say semifinal Saturday. But
right,
yeah, just such a long way to go between now and then. We'll see how they're trending, but just too inconsistent right now to count on them to go out and win like 3 or 4 games in a row to get there, but we'll see. All right, more baseball talk coming up this weekend. Pirates at Elon on Tuesday. NFL draft, guys, we'll start with the local ECU angle, and then we'll hit some of the draft storylines, which is no shortage of, Shedeur Sanders. But ECU, man, Savone Revel, how in the world does Savone fall to the 3rd round? I mean, I think we know the reasons, but man, I think the Dallas Cowboys are getting an absolute steal here. I tweeted that any team that passes on Savone for a corner not named Travis Hunter will regret it. I stand by that. I know that there's some injury concerns, but I am fully on board, unbiased, biased or unbiased. I think Savone is a hell of a player, and I think Dallas is gonna be starting for Dallas sooner rather than later. Joe, your take on the Savone Revel situation and the fit in Dallas?
I think Dallas is a phenomenal system for him to be in. I think especially with the DC they hired this offseason in Eberflus, that's a system that likes a lengthy corner, and they succeed really well. When he was with the Colts, they had Stephon Gilmore towards that portion of his career right after he had gotten released by the Patriots. And that's a really good slot for him to be in. Plays long. He's probably going to be that left corner guy. Line up on the ones, but I don't necessarily see them flipping just yet considering where he is. He's paired up with another really good corner they have there. I mean, yes, obviously, everybody throws at Trayvon Diggs because he turns around and he intercepts every ball thrown at him. But if you have Revel on the backside and you're throwing back at him, you've got to make a decision early on. And Micah Parsons is going to try and get home. It's a really good fit for him. He was my second best corner in the class, and that's not just because I played with him and he's my guy. I really was unimpressed by Travis Hunter this season at the corner position. I think he is an above average corner. I do not think he's an elite top 5 draft pick corner like a Denzel Ward was when he came out, like a Sauce Gardner was when he came out at 4. So he was my second best corner in the draft. I think the 3rd round makes a lot of sense considering there's still some question marks on if he'll even be cleared for football activity by the time training camp runs around, because it's one thing to be cleared to run and start doing football activities. It's another to be cleared for football in general. And when you get into training camp, especially in the NFL, there's only so many days you get to put the pads on and prove it. So they may just be weary of that. So I think that's why he fell, because they need an immediate impact right now.
Wait, did you have Hunter at 1, or did you have somebody else at 1 and you had Hunter farther down the list?
I had Hunter at 3. I had Savone at 2, and then I had the kid out of Ohio State at 1.
Okay.
All right. Again, Trayvon Diggs is coming off a major injury, and there was an interesting quote from Jerry Jones talking about how he needs to work harder in his rehab to get back. So I don't know what the situation is there. And then they also have Deron Bland.
Mm-hmm.
So, Revel probably, if you had to draw it up, if all the guys were completely healthy, he'd probably be the 3rd corner going into training camp. But you've got Diggs coming off an injury. You've got Revel coming off an injury. What do you think of this situation for Savone, Phillip?
Yeah, like Joe said, it's the way their defense is constructed. It probably is a really good fit for him. And that's so much what it comes down to in this draft. 10, 12 years ago, you just took the best player available at a position. But now the corner position, or I wouldn't say the corner position is how has really evolved as much as how teams line up their corners, how they strategically do it. You used to just have your best guy who was with their best guy, and you had your number 2 guy who went with their number 2 guy. It was very cut and dry. Now there's so much strategicness in boundary corners as opposed to field corners, and that is the way that things are played now, so you kind of have to go off what you like. And then it also comes down to, we mentioned, could Buffalo take them? Well, they just don't play a lot of man. They're a zone team. They like Josh Norman-esque corners who are just really good in bail technique situations. It's just how football has evolved. And so, yes, was it disappointing not to see him go earlier? Sure, but to Joe's point, this will be a good fit for his style compared to how Eberflus in the past has handled running his defense and the other personnel on the team.
So we have a handful of other Pirates getting minicamp invites. The Winston Wright thing I'm not 100% sure about, because ECU football tweeted he signed a undrafted deal, and then the initial report said he got a minicamp invite. So I don't know what the situation is there, but we'll wait for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It takes a few days for most of these teams to announce their deal for UDFAs. But either way, Wright will be in camp, rookie mini camp with the Buccaneers. Let's see if I can get them all here. Dustin Hall announced this morning, ECU offensive lineman, mini camp invite to the Raiders. Rajay Harris, mini camp invite to the Buffalo Bills. And also Parker Moore, mini camp invite to the New York Giants. So for those that don't understand, minicamp, you're not getting a contract. You're getting the opportunity to basically try out. Typically what happens is they invite a bunch of guys, and usually if they are impressed by 1 or 2, they may give 1 or 2 of those rookie minicamp tryout guys a UDFA contract, undrafted free agent contract. So we've seen it happen before. Hopefully one of these guys, if not multiple, can latch on. But, Joe, your take on the rest of this class and if any of those guys have a shot to make it.
Yeah, the big guys are always the ones that you have to kind of look at, because you can't teach size. God only makes so many creatures that are the size of NFL linemen, and I think that's why Parker and Dustin have a great opportunity at kind of sneaking their way in the door, especially the Raiders. Raiders have a lot of holes on that offensive line right now after some injuries last year and some free agent departures. You could see Dustin kind of sneak in, get a UDFA deal, and then get onto the training camp roster. You need 90 guys to go into. You need a 3rd offensive line for when you get into those preseason practices and those scrimmages. So I think he's got a really good shot. Parker Moore is another good opportunity. Evan Neal has not been the answer by any means at tackle for the Giants. So they are shopping all possible opportunities to replace that, which means that there's an opportunity for a backup to become a starter and Parker to slide into that same kind of role. Rajay's on an uphill battle, but what's going to help him a lot is you've got a running back who in today's day and age is not with $20 million a year holding out against a team that typically does not pay running backs, never mind support players on an offense that aren't named Josh Allen. So he's got a really good opportunity there. If Woods tries to sit out, or Cook tries to sit out the entire training camp, you're going to have a body in there to try and take some reps. And I think Rajay will do a good job in that spot. So he's got a really good opportunity if he shows a flash in that mini camp spot. Winston Wright is a difficult one to try and narrow in on because they are so talented in Tampa Bay at receiver. Even the backups are talented. I mean, you've got Miller, you've got Godwin who's coming back, you've got possibly the greatest receiver of this generation in Mike Evans who's also there. Then you've got a bunch of other guys who've been winning in the wings.
They just drafted one in the first round too.
And they just drafted a receiver in the first round, exactly. So I think given where that organization wound up, it's not necessarily his best option. The tape's going to go out to all people. He could still get picked up as a returner later on by somebody like a Harbaugh, the other Harbaugh, any of those guys who really kind of value the special teams aspects because they've been that role in their kind of coaching journey. He's got an opportunity for, but I think that's really just kind of it for the guys from ECU.
What do you think, Philip? Any of these guys that you'll be watching extra closely going into the rookie mini camps?
Yeah, I know it's kind of contradicting what Joe just said, and I get what he's saying with Tampa being deep at receiver, but I still am going to go Winston. And it comes down to the fact that I think the likelihood of whether it be Tampa Bay or somewhere else, somebody saying, look, we are going to bring you in for the preseason to see how well you can return punts.
Agreed. Yep.
You know, like I said, he could be released after rookie minicamp and then be invited to someone else's training camp and then get a preseason look. And maybe it's not preseason on the field. Maybe we don't see it on television, but they have all these joint practices now, and they will play games within these joint practices. They'll play a modified, kind of like how we did the spring game, but the special teams will be a little more live to see how good guys can return. I think the likelihood of him getting one of those and then maybe just being put on the practice squad, but put on the practice squad so in case, God forbid, their starting returner snaps his leg and is out for the season, I think Winston's ability to play the special teams game gives him the best shot. I'm not trying to bag on anybody else, Rajay, either one of the linemen. I'm not saying they can't make it. These guys have the work ethic. They have the attitude. They're amazing human beings. They know what it takes. They're not just they didn't get to where they are today off talent alone, because if they were, I'd have said, hey, no way in hell they're getting there. But these guys know what it takes. But I think Winston's ability to return kicks, look, it is what it is. It's just something that not as many guys can do as, say, play the running back position or play the offensive line position.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout-out to Parker Moore, who a lot of people wrote off. 2023, look, it was a rough year. He made the transition from right tackle to left tackle. He struggled. And I think at that point, a lot of ECU fans wanted to move on and get a different left tackle. Well, scheme matters, coaching matters, and I think the jump he made to now be getting an NFL opportunity shows a lot about his resiliency. So I'm happy for Parker. You know, the Rajay thing, guys, I just looked into this. It's kind of interesting. The Bills did not draft a running back, and they have not signed a running back as an undrafted free agent. The only running back reported right now that they're bringing in is Rajay Harris. Yep. So, well, yeah, as far as like actual proven running backs on the roster.
Yeah, I didn't know where you were going with that. Yep.
Yeah. Now, James Cook is a stud, but you have 4 other backs on the roster. So they only have 5 running backs on the 90-man roster. One of those is Frank Gore Jr., who was an undrafted free agent last year. You also have Ray Davis, who they drafted last year. Rajay is going to have to beat out one of those guys, most likely.
And well, they're running with Davis. Davis is their number 2. He was like a day 2 pick last year. He is the number 2 back, I think.
100%.
Yeah,
he might be the number 1 if they don't want to pay Cook.
Yeah, true.
So you've also got a Darrington Evans and a Ty Johnson. I know they let their one of their other
Ty Johnson
backs go in the offseason. So basically, I mean, I feel like most teams go into an offseason on the 9-man roster with at least 5 or 6 backs. So they only have 5. I mean, if Rajay does well here, I think he gets a shot as far as a contract if they're not bringing in somebody else. So that's something to monitor there. Now, as far as making the 53-man, yeah, that would be a tall order. But at this point, just hoping he gets a shot as far as the undrafted contract as a result of the rookie minicamp.
You hope so, but a lot of times in these situations, because we've seen it in the past, especially at the running back position where you've seen a guy from East Carolina or maybe another team or, you know, a guy whether who's local here in high school that you follow, it's like, man, he's like the 5th guy right now. And then sure enough, like June rolls around and a team signs a guy that has been maybe a number 2 in his time, and then they're bringing him in maybe to be a number 4. Maybe he's 27, 28 years old. I mean, I think of Carolina last year bringing in Mike Boone kind of late, and it was like, oh, that guy actually played in a game for the Cleveland Browns one time. So it would not surprise me if they sign a player like that at some point. I mean, hopefully this is all Rajay's got to beat out, but I just don't want to get people's hopes up too much because the receiver position and the running back position especially, there's so many guys who rotate in throughout the course of the season. A lot of times those guys just don't get picked up prior to the draft because they're not actually being signed to $2-3 million deals, but they kind of bring them in on the league minimum and actually do sign them to a contract, kind of once OTAs start.
Fair points for sure. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get our final break in. On the other side, we'll dive more into the big picture topics with the draft. We got a couple questions on Travis Hunter in the chat we'll get to, and then we'll address our biggest takeaways as a whole from the draft. This is Hoist the Colors Reaction Monday.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available. Call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
If you are interested in living longer and living stronger, Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine is accepting new patients for a limited time. Finding a caring physician can be a challenge. Dr. Billy Smith is board certified in physical medicine and lifestyle medicine and has been practicing in the area for many years. Call for an appointment now to Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine, 252-364-1108 in Greenville. That number again is 252-364-1108.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Tell me what's happening. Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, final segment here. We just talked ECU and the NFL draft and post-draft process. Now we'll take a look at some of the biggest storylines overall. Jansen Kidd has a question. Joe Sampson and Philip Pilkington alongside our final segment here. He wants to know, I'm pumped that my Jaguars were aggressive in the draft. He wants to know, where do you see Travis Hunter taking the most snaps? It seems wide receiver is where he will end up. Joe Sampson, you weren't high on Travis Hunter as a corner. If I could, easy for me to say. What about a receiver?
Yeah, I think he's a really good player with the ball in his hands. He's dynamic. He makes plays when he gets lateral in the field, and that's what makes him stand out. I think he took one. It might have been against Colorado State. They threw him a low screen. It was a little hitch route he came back to, and he took it, I want to say, 42 yards into the end zone. And I was like, that's the kid that needs to get the football. That's the guy that they need to try and build this offense around. And I think when you put him in a situation, yes, the dual positional value made him extremely valuable. I do not think that's why he won the Heisman. And we went through conversation after conversation on this show, especially about if it should have been Genty or him. And I still thought it should have been Genty. But what stands out about Hunter is when he gets that football, there's just something different about it. When he's in open field, the way he moves, the way he kind of runs and does things, when he gets to the next level is what's going to separate him. And I think putting him alongside of Brian Thomas, who was a phenomenal receiver at LSU and a great rookie receiver last year, there's a bright future if Trevor Lawrence can throw and not be on his back.
I think the good thing with Lawrence here, and I know it's not really the point of the question, though, is so many times it seems like he's been on his back. The O-line's bad, but they've been trying to run a pro-style offense there. I think with these two guys, they might be able to get into more of a West Coast-style offense and just let the receivers make the plays. Just dink and dunk, man. You don't have to – nothing has to be sexy. I know Trevor was more of a pro-style quarterback in college, but he's tall enough and has a good arm slot to where he can actually make – and he's smart enough between the eyes to make the West Coast reads, and I think his body type allows him to be a decent West Coast quarterback. I think that's just what they need to evolve to.
And I just want to add on to that also is if you go look at what Liam Cohen did with the revitalization of Baker Mayfield and the revitalization of Matthew Stafford when he was there with the Rams, it's a completely different look from what they were early in their career because of the pro system.
Lane Smith in the chat, no surprise, he's high on the Philadelphia Eagles draft. Congrats, Lane, on another championship coming your way. He is sad that Savone is on the Cowboys, but really happy with the improvement and potential the Eagles made. Yeah, when Savone gets a pick six on Jalen Hurts, I'll look forward to your reaction in the chat. All right, the Jets, Joe, how did they do in the draft? How did your New York Jets do?
They did pretty good. I thought they had a couple of positions they needed to address, and I think not going with a lengthy or a big receiver might have been a big question mark we're going to have. But it was straight out of the Lions playbook, and I only say that just because it's exactly what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes like to do in the draft. Sit there, know your guys, know your positional value, move if you need to move because you know where you need to be, and do exactly that. Nobody flashy, no kind of headline stories that are going to make you go, oh, wow, off of any of the headlines. But on paper, it makes the team a much better fit. And I think a lot of people need to accept, yes, the New York Jets, would it be fun to go out and win a division in the first year? Absolutely. Is it going to happen? No shot in hell. You've got a team that should be poised to make a Super Bowl run coming up with the Buffalo Bills in that division, and it feels eerily similar to what it did in 2009 when Ryan first took over with Mark Sanchez. And I don't want to say that Fields is going to have that kind of like Linsanity run, so to speak, but it's just not the time yet. And they're building slowly to get those guys, pick up the fifth-year options on your cornerstone pieces of the franchise, extend them, and do what you need to do. I love the pick out of Missouri. I thought the kid was a mauler and a physical, dominant presence to pair with Olu Fashanu on the other side.
Speaking of the Jets, will the new Pope see a playoff Jets berth in his tenure?
God, I hope so.
Sorry, I had to throw one jab in there. Go ahead, Iger. We keep cutting you off. My bad.
If not, we're all in trouble. But mainly Joe. The Panthers, from a local perspective, Philip, I feel like every time we were together in a press box, you were just like rolling your eyes at what the Panthers were doing. So did it get any better by the end of the weekend?
No. I mean, like the kid from Colorado had one touchdown. He's one of those guys who can like jump up and make a play, moss a guy, no-handed cartwheel, catch it behind his back, but he can't make the basic plays. They drafted a running back when we just signed a running back with the beginning of their day 3 pick. The receiver they got was the same as the other receivers on the team. I was talking to Zoki about it. It's like, dude, if we're going to draft a receiver, we need a guy who can just like beat everybody. We need a guy who can take the top off. We have the guy who can run every route on the route tree. We've got 2 of those guys. Why the hell did you draft a third one? I liked the edge rusher they took in the second round, but then even like going with another edge in the third round, and that guy's kind of a question mark anyway. It's like, damn, could we have gone linebacker here? I don't know, man. It just I could sit here and waste a whole segment on this. I'm not going to bore people with my Panthers ticked offness.
Not yet.
You know, the Shedeur Sanders thing has been beat to death, but I don't know, Joe. You got any final thoughts? We're about out of time. I'm sure we can all weigh in on this, but any thoughts from your perspective?
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. And I've said it the entire draft process. I said it last year when there were conversations about him getting Heisman votes. If his last name was Smith and he threw for BYU instead of Colorado, where Deion Sanders was the head coach, we wouldn't doubt for a second that he's a 3rd or a 4th round pick. And that's what it came down to. He didn't have a live arm. He did not throw the ball exceptionally well into the second window. He pats the football. He does not move exceptionally well outside of the pocket. In today's modern age of the NFL, nobody's a pocket passer anymore unless you're 35 years old or 38 years old and your name is Aaron Rodgers. It's just not how the game is played anymore. Everybody throws on the run. Brock Purdy throws on the run. Matthew Stafford even now throws on the run. Kyler Murray runs around everywhere, throws across his body, and throws on the run. It's not the prototypical quarterback you see anymore. Nobody's taking a true pocket passer, and the Steelers not taking him just shows you exactly what I'm telling you, which is that offenses are moving away from that.
Who wins the battle between him and Dylan Gabriel? Who's higher on the depth chart?
It's Sanders. Sanders is QB3.
So what you are saying, though, is if his name was
Smith, BYU.
Precisely.
I did.
Dan
I had
Smith.
Dan Smith, BYU, baby.
Precisely.
I think it didn't play over the radio. I had the thing clicked wrong, but it went over the video stream.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I heard it, so all good. We are out of time, and we're not going to continue this Shedeur Sanders conversation, but if you want to know more, DM Joe. He will respond. Joe, appreciate you as always, man.
Hey, love being on, guys. Good to see you.
We'll get you back on soon. Thanks to Philip as well for producing. Tomorrow we dive into the Mike Schwartz extension, basketball recruiting. We'll also talk East Carolina football spring game. Join us then. We'll see you 12 noon on Tuesday.